Well, hello, Alex. Good to be back. Yeah, what most people can't grasp at the moment is how this is helping the Obama administration. And on that very subject, literally...
Hold on one second. Hold on one second. We're not sending your audio to the network. Okay, start over, Paul. I'm sorry.
Okay, what a lot of people fail to grasp about these events is how it's benefiting the Obama administration. And literally about 20 minutes ago, the Wall Street Journal published an article entitled "Package Bombs Help U.S. Defense in Cleric Case." Package bombs help U.S. defense in Cleric case. And it basically says that this latest bombing attempt aids Barack Obama's geopolitical strategy to intensify the drone attacks in Yemen, which, of course, is justified by the fact that the so-called leader of al-Qaeda now, Anwar-al-Awlaki, is now based in Yemen. And he's being fingered again as the mastermind behind this latest plot. But as my article on prisonplanet.com today documents, and as we have documented on innumerable occasions in the past, al-Awlaki is a CIA stooge. He was meeting with the top brass of the Pentagon months after September 11th, after acting as the spiritual leader for the very hijackers on 9/11 who allegedly slammed Flight 77 into the Pentagon. So the guy who was their spiritual guru was meeting with Pentagon top brass just months later. And of course, Awlaki was the mastermind behind several other dud bombing attempts. The Christmas Day bomber, who of course was allowed on the plane by the State Department, the Times Square attempt, and of course the Fort Hood shooting.
Stay there. We got a break,
delve
Paul.
further into it.
Stay there. When we come back, I'm going to give you this the floor in this next segment, a little bit into the next after that, because this is so important. And again, we predicted this, and now we're explaining why it helps the globalist. I mean, they're telling you it's helping them. I want listeners to really think about how brazen and naked this is. 4 days before the election on Friday, there are these package bombs mailed out. First, the FBI and Scotland Yard in England and the U.S. come out and say, we tested it, it's not explosive material. Then Obama says, tentatively, we believe it's not a bomb, but is explosive material. Then they arrest this woman. Then they have to release her and say it was the wrong identity. The Yemenis government comes out and says no packages were mailed from here in the 2 days before. Now we have a bomb that communists out of Greece supposedly tried to mail right at the same time, magically, to Nicolas Sarkozy. We know the NATO stay-behind networks have admitted it's been declassified with Operation Gladio, staged hundreds of bombings in Europe in the last 30 years and blamed it on their political enemies. We have the Italian president, former head of intelligence, going public on that. And it goes on and on. Then you watch the Sunday news shows or listen to talk radio, and it's, this makes Obama look really strong. He protected us again from an attack. The Christmas Day was a dud. The Times Square was a dud. And then it's always Anwar-al-Awlaki who's hanging out at the Pentagon, who's behind it, and they're saying he's behind the newest thing. So that's why they're doing it, and it changes the subject during the election, from the election, as the wave of anti-incumbency builds. As the wave of anti-incumbency builds, now this distracts on the eve of the election and may let the Democrats keep the Senate. It also distracts from all the election fraud news coming out. Paul Watson from England, please continue.
Well, exactly. It also acts as a kind of crushing momentum against the resistance to airport security measures. Remember, just days previous to this event, we had the announcement that airport security measures were going to get even tougher. And that came out at the same time that British Airways chairman Martin Broughton slammed US authorities for redundant and ridiculous airport security measures that had no effect whatsoever. And we also had, just the week before, dozens, actually up to 200 nations globally resisting Homeland Security's proposal to have body scanners as a mandatory device in airports around the world. So three separate issues related to airport security on which the authorities, the US authorities, were on the ropes, and then we have this strange series of events. And
that's right. I mean, just to interrupt you, Italy's pulling the scanners out. It's all over mainstream news that they do cause cancer. And they announce, hey, we're now going to pat down touching your genitals and breast, everyone on top of naked body scanners. You don't like the scanners? We're going to go even further.
Right, and of course, Dubai International Airport had ripped the scanners out, saying they were a violation of dignity and privacy. And lo and behold, one of these devices is discovered at Dubai. Not needless to say that the United Arab Emirates authorities denied that any explosive device had been discovered there, just as the Yemeni authorities said that no UPS plane had left Yemen in the 48 hours previous to this series of events. So there's some massive manipulation going on with this timeline, which is why I wanted to just go through it again. President Obama, the White House announced through its own press release on Friday, was informed of this so-called unfolding bomb plot on Thursday night in the United States. Now, the first package was discovered at 3:30 a.m. at East Midlands Airport in England, which is about an hour from where I live, at 3:30 a.m. on Friday morning. So Washington time, that's 10:30 at night. So Obama, but basically at the same time as this package has been discovered at East Midlands, is informed of this unfolding bomb threat. David Cameron, now it turns out, we've just learned, was not informed of this threat whatsoever, even though it had started in the UK, until the next afternoon, which is when we found out about it. So Cameron's being kept out of the loop. Now, what happened was the airport officials at East Midlands, when they found that package at 3:30 a.m., inspected it for explosive material, and the test came up negative. And then Obama goes on TV, 3 hours later, and says that the evidence indicates that this was an explosive package designed to blow the aircraft out of the air. So after that, the US authorities, and this is all in an article from the Nottingham Post, investigations continue into East Midlands Airport terror plot. After Obama says that it was an explosive package, US authorities then direct the East Midlands Airport staff to check the bomb again, and lo and behold, from it being a dud, it now becomes a major explosive device.
Stay there. Why is this so important? Well, I mean, we've read you the quotes of these Obama advisors over and over again, saying we've got to have some type of event so Obama can pose as a political savior. And I'm going to read some of those quotes again coming up. And then right ahead of the election, boom, the explosive packages start getting mailed out. It's Anwar-al-Awlaki, the admitted CIA operative, as usual, that they say is behind it. In every one of these cases, Fort Hood had warnings and was told to stand down. They confiscated the cell phone footage. He was in contact with Anwar-al-Awlaki. Al-Awlaki's hanging out at the Pentagon. He's behind the Christmas Day bomber, where they didn't just allow him to get on the plane, they helped get Muttalib on the plane. It's the same story over and over and over again, right as they want to expand attacks into Yemen, sell us the naked body scanners, the enhanced rape down where they squeeze your genitals and breast, now being announced, conditioning everyone to accept total police state and to distract people from the depression and the huge political wave of awakening that's happening right now. So Paul Joseph Watson, continue. When we went to break, you were getting into the fact that even the British government is saying, well, we tested the package, it wasn't explosive, but Obama says it is and waves his magic fairy wand, and boom, it's a bomb. And now, as I predicted yesterday, we have this situation. Greece intercepts partial bomb addressed to Sarkozy. Again, this package bomb, parcel bomb. Greek police intercept a booby-trapped parcel addressed to French President Nicolas Sarkozy Monday after another package exploded at a courier company in Athens, slightly wounding an employee. So the globalists are activating their Operation Gladio, NATO option networks. Police suspect the parcels were linked to Greek leftist guerrilla groups who've been admittedly part of Gladio. Greece has been rocked by a wave of gas canister and bomb attacks, usually claimed by leftist groups, since the police killing of a teenager in Athens. But notice this is all happening at the same time. The parcel that exploded in the hands of the female employee was addressed to Mexican embassy in Athens, police said. Shortly after the explosion, police arrested 2 suspects and detonated 2 more makeshift parcel bombs that carried a third one found at another delivery company. Are these just copycat bombers? There are some real bombers out there. They're very rare, but they do exist. Or is this part of the overall hysteria as the corporate system tries to distract from the rioting against tyranny in Europe, the political awakening in the West, all the things that are happening? Paul Joseph Watson.
Well, if it is copycats, then that only helps the authorities because it's the strategy of tension, like with Gladio. But the thing that renders this story suspect in the very least is not only the fact that the UK suspicious package was initially called a dud until Obama said otherwise, but even the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania and New Jersey packages, which were found the next day. Remember, Obama was informed about this on Thursday night, apparently after receiving a tip-off from this Saudi individual who was an Al-Qaeda member only 2 weeks before, again linked to Anwar-al-Awlaki, the CIA lackey. But then the next day, these packages at Pittsburgh and Newark, CNN reported that authorities at those airports had given, quote, the all clear. And so in 3 different cases, the authorities have said there's no explosives, Obama says otherwise, and suddenly everybody changes their stories. I mean, it's amazing. And of course, this morning we found out that the prime suspect is somebody who dined with top Pentagon brass. He's the guy who was in contact with this individual who supposedly made the ink toner cartridge bomb, who was the same guy who apparently made the underwear bomber device, which of course was complete false flag, as we've documented. US State Department helped Abdul Mullatab get on the plane. Well-dressed Indian man helped him get on the plane. So you have all these connections running through, and then you have the fact that the story was changed right from the very start to hype this non-event, essentially, into this massive terror plot, which they're now saying involved at least 26 packages, which could have caused massive explosions and blown these airliners out of the sky. So, I mean, as I wrote in my article, you know, within days, everything screams false flag, everything's suspicious, and everything runs through al-Awlaki. And then you had, instantly, they grabbed this Yemeni female student, again to, I mean, Obama said, we don't have any details, but we know it came from Yemen. Well, yeah, that's because they want to intensify the drone attacks. The very next day, the New York Times aggressively pushed further incursions into Yemen. And only yesterday, I believe, they had to release this female Yemeni student because there was no evidence against her, and somebody had stolen her identity to mail the packages so they could be traced back to Yemen, which is exactly what helps the U.S. military-industrial complex and Obama's geopolitical agenda.
And then meanwhile, Obama gets to pose as our savior. Obama gets to distract everyone from the huge political wave that's happening and change the subject as the Democrats completely implode, along with establishment Republicans, as the braying Obamanoids that are still out there. He's lost about half his Democrat support. Over and over again, like sheep, say, Obama, Obama, Obama. And the Democratic Party activists all over TV and radio say, see, this shows you that Obama is going to protect us. Thank God we have this police state, because Barack Hussein Obama, he's keeping us safe, Paul.